sending letters out to a number of governmental bodies, basically probing them, I'll call it, to be kind, as to their compliance with the ADA issues for websites. He is a gentleman that was a plaintiff in the past also. So it's, yeah, again, it's a wave that's not going to subside. It's keep going. So it's a good point. We need to really stay on top of that. So if you can just keep bugging.
Yeah, I'll ask him again, but he's always really pretty quick when something like that comes up, so I'll
He
ask
may be
him
picking
again.
up more clients because of all the other issues going on.
He seems very busy.
Mrs. DeFeo, like I said, Mrs. DeFeo, the lady that sued a bunch of districts here, as of February 19th, in the Southern District of Florida, she had filed 211 lawsuits.
Jeez. Mr. Guy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Two quick things. First of all, I was responsible for preparing minutes for more than 20 years. And so I think I've got a little bit of insight. And part of that insight tells me that if the attorney, the management, the engineer would put in our agendas the exact wording of the resolutions that they want us to approve, so that all we have to do is to read the darn things or refer to them or something, the minutes can be prepared in a lot less time. Secondly, totally different item, did we get that barge raised up by the crane and over the house or wherever it was gonna go?
Over the trees.
Huh?
Went over the trees Monday.
Is it, it's over?
It's in and working.
It's in the water?
It's in the water.
Great, well, I'll have to take a look at that. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman.
Mr. Banks?
I just wanted to, so Doug Banks would like to personally thank Diane for all of her many, many years of service. She's outlasted quite a few other individuals, and I just wish you the best. And I will probably, more than likely, most likely, miss you a heck of a lot more than you'll miss us. So thanks again.
Did we have a gateway Purple Heart?
That was
Should.
frosted.
Purple frosting, that's what it
And Kristen, you can have any one item in the office that you want to take with you.
Mr. Hinkle?
was. Poor book. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, the check.
For Tyler, we're on the ponds right now, they're on 124. Do you have any idea 119, 121, when they're gonna be mobilizing?
So for the record, my name is Tyler Wainwright, and 119 and 121, yes, I do have an idea. So we had spoke to Met Tower last week. They have started the submittal process to get rolling, and I think they said they wanted to start next week. I could be wrong about that, but I think next week they said they wanted to start mobilizing.
Do they understand that Metro has done one hell of a job of reducing the water level in all of their ponds for them?
I kind of doubt it, but they owe them a big thank you because they
Darn
did.
kidding they do. If they screw around and wait, the water level will go back up. Pond 61, I think that's Stony Brook, when is it going?
61, is that the other Fisher Brothers one? That the Met Tower?
Met Tower, and
That's
that's.
another Met Tower?
Yeah, they already started putting up the orange fence and they'll
Okay.
be working.
And 90 they're working on right now.
90.
Did we have a closeout of 92? Any issues on that?
92 is substantially complete, and no major issues.
No issues, great. 124 is going now, and of course, it impacts a lot of people, and a lot of people are asking the question, and so I'm going to bring it up. Putting that barge in that lake and doing that work was not cheap. Why do we want to do it twice? i.e., why don't we do an amendment and do a change order and have them do the golf course side while they're there right now? We know we gotta do it.
I think that question is more for the board than me, but if you would.
Well, my question to
like
you
us
is
to
that
assist
what
you
would
with
it
that, we can.
take to be able to get that change order?
As far as getting a change order from the contractor, they already have a unit price to complete the work. I'm sure they would continue to work at that unit price should the
But
board
we don't
ask
have
them
a
to do so.
design.
I'm sorry?
We don't have a design.
For the golf course?
Yes.
I'm sure we
That wouldn't
could-
take that long.
It would not take long, I'm sure.
And
we
do
could
we
work that out
have a
with them.
facility plan approval to where we could get the money for it? We didn't differentiate the facility plan sides of the lake, did we?
No, the facilities plan just says what lake that we're going to work on. It doesn't say the actual location. What you're gonna run into is funding issues through SRF. You need to request more money if you are going to add that side.
I realize that. I would suggest that we be looking at that, because people wonder if we're crazy. We're spending this kind of money, and then we're gonna turn around and do it again. And putting that barge in, pumping that lake down is costing somebody a lot of money, and I have a feeling that's us. So anyway, question. Next item I have is that I thought we all received, but I look at the email now and I only see that it was Doug and I and Chris. We have a complaint from a resident, Denny Baginski in Hampton Park. I thought this was being taken care of. This was not for you, Tyler, so you don't have to worry about it. The issue is that he wants to know when the littorals are going to be maintained. I thought that aquagenics was to be in there cutting these things back and maintaining them to the 4 to 8 foot littoral shelf and not letting them go out in the middle of the lake, like we said we weren't going to do. This just was dated March 17th. Apparently, it's not being done. Is aquagenics not going and doing their work, or do you know what's going on?
Well, they are, and we actually went out to one lake and measured out some different areas and what we could take out and bring back. I haven't been over to Denny's.
Let's go Farrington, so that'd be pond 10,
I have to check and see.
pond 8 under 10, one of the three.
But we actually looked at it because the littoral coverage is, could be reduced by 70% in that pond, and still exceed the regulatory minimums. And I talked to the residents and told them that we were gonna get a price from aquagenics, but it was gonna be gradual over the next 3 months. When they shorten those shells out, we aren't having them cut them down because you'd have to harvest it and get a mechanical one in there versus bringing it back a little bit each time.
And then he is asking the question,
One comment on that. With the changing pond levels, the aquagenics or whoever we have is always chasing that target.
well, right now, for
Because
the
when the
last
pond
3
goes
months, our
down-
pond levels have been in control.
The littorals grow out further in the pond than you want, and when they're full, they recede. So it's a never-ending maintenance issue.
Yeah, our problem is right now, for 3 months now, our ponds have been in control, which they never have been in 20 years I've been here. They've never been in control this time of the year. Then the other question he brings up, which is real interesting, is that he wants to know when the ponds in Hampton Park can have the pristine white rock installed around their shorelines.
It's gonna be a long
I
time.
think, anyway, that was the
After we
question.
do the golf course side.
I just wondered, I didn't respond to him, or you responded to him?
I don't, is that recent, like today?
Yeah, March 17th, you and I and Doug got the email. Going on, checking my notes. Flowway bidding is the 28th, bids come in on the
27th bids will be
28th,
in.
27th?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I'll bring that to the board April 4th.
Where do we stand on getting supplemental bids and/or pricing on the Gateway Greens remaining storm sewers?
Provided the cut sheets to Matt Power for his past week, and he is just gonna put his existing prices and extend them out for those quantities.
And the last one is, at the last meeting, we had presented to us District Council's agreement. What are we doing with this?
And I dropped the ball on that. We were supposed to put it on the agenda this week, and I neglected to do that because we were gonna get it started and approved. So we could bring it up right now. I passed copies of the agenda.
Tony passed out in a,
Yeah, if the board wishes to, we can discuss it, and I double checked and was proofing it. Just a couple minor corrections or other sheets. This first sheet was that,
the date,
the date, it says April 1st, and another part, it says March 31st, I just need to correct that, I will
Yeah.
correct that. Then secondly, on the billing rates, fees, expenses, and charges, I inadvertently left off the yellow part, which is part of the current contractual arrangement. The fee is kept at $150 per hour for normal, attendance at the board meeting is kept at 400. For any work that can be done by the administrator is half the rate, and then depositions and filing fees, and that's an added.
The one yellow you had, in-house services such as copy, scanning, postage, those are in the one I got.
Yeah, there, but the one you had earlier, it had a 3.5%, I believe, correct? Okay, that's in there, okay. Because we changed that because of some Florida bar opinions. The engineers can charge that, attorneys can't.
Okay, charge what?
Like a percentage of the billable time for expenses, we have to itemize for any copies that we charge you. We don't do that. You know, like the old way of counting with a log of copies.
The other thing on this that I'd like us to get more in the habit of is, instead of the chairperson signing things, that we have our district manager sign it. So in this particular instance, we start trying to convert over to the district manager handling more of the day-to-day business.
If the board would like, we can then, could change the document, and the board can approve the agreement and authorize the manager to sign the agreement on behalf of the district.
That I don't have a problem. So this expires before our next meeting. What are we doing?
Board wishes to authorize execution of the agreement by the manager with these corrections.
I'll make that motion.
Could you repeat the motion, please?
It is to authorize execution of the district council services agreement that was previously provided in copies available in the record with the corrections as indicated on the correction sheets that were handed out.
3 years.
Yes, sir. And, yes, it's a 3-year term. The other one was 3 years of renewable, this is just 3 years.
Are you getting to retire too?
I don't know, my wife says that I can't because she wants me to stay busy out over here, I'm just kidding.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Tyler,
Any opposed?
do we know what the time is on the late 124s to be able to go back to Metro and get a change order to do the golf course side?
Well, let me think for a second. They plan to be on that lake for a total of 45 days, roughly. They've been out there about a week now. So let's say they're gonna be out there another 5 weeks, plus or minus. I would say that you would have to get it done in the next 2 board meetings, I guess.
Why don't we find out if a majority of the board wants to do this?
We don't have a choice, Bill. We were told by the county we have to do it.
Well, here, again, nobody in the county has told me.
I brought the question up at the last meeting that they were here, and they sat there and made it perfectly clear. You do both sides of the lake.
Well,
Made
they
it
said
very
we
clear.
need to address
Yes,
it,
that's
but
what it
they didn't
means.
say we need to address it immediately. And we made an agreement as a board, not, when we started this project, that the priority was what was behind residents' houses.
I don't want to waste residents' money of taking and spending money to go back and do remobilization on a pond like this that is very difficult and expensive.
It needs
It's
to
a
be-
waste of money.
If we're already spending, charging them almost $1 million to do that lake, aren't we?
I don't know, what would you guys pay for in Pelican Reserve for all the lakes?
What's that have to do with anything?
Hard to
This
get
is
by,
the
isn't it?
lake that, this is
Hard to
the
get
lake
by.
that we're paying them almost $1 million to do that?
At 9.
It's
$9.80.
You can't go by that, you go by the dollars per unit or per lineal foot. It's just because that lake is a big lake. That's
Just
the problem.
because you think you want your golf course done, doesn't mean the majority of the board thinks it needs to be done right now.
The county told us that we
Oh,
have to
baloney,
maintain.
the county doesn't know a turn signal from a roundabout.
And we'll move forward with getting the price, and the only problem I see is we may have that enough money in contingencies to do that, but that time frame is not gonna fit with the next DEP meeting approval. We recently got approval February 15th for additional funds to cover these 6 lakes, and we would have to go back to them for an amendment, and that couldn't be approved till that next funding meeting. I don't even know when that is, Tyler, you may.
It's in May.
Do you want rocks there?
The lakeside has to be brought to the 4-to-1 slope, which it is not right now.
So
on the
why
golf
can't
course
we have
side.
riprap?
I'm sorry,
Riprap?
no.
Yeah, that
They
would
won't,
look just as
they'll never
nice.
approve that. South Florida won't approve that.
So it sounds as though we can't get it done in time to do it this year anyway, because we can't go out for additional funding.
Can you verify that?
Let us know for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Just give us an update on whether it's possible
Yeah,
or
whether or
not.
not it's possible.
You
And
have-
Chairman, if I may also, we could ask the engineer also on that point, is that the engineer's report that was the basis for the validation proceedings, did that include the remedial work and reconstruction work on the golf course side as part of the project scope and project description and project cost?
Trying to remember on the engineer's report for that.
If
I
you
don't
could
know
look
we
at that,
broke
if
it
it
out by
hasn't-
side.
I'm sorry?
I don't know if we broke it out by side. I think we just broke it out by lake, I think.
Lake and linear feet. So I think that's, Madam Chairman, that follows up to your question about, do we need to amend the facilities plans, and was it included as part of the validation?
If you can
Proceedings
just
engineer's
let
report.
us know for
Yeah,
the
the
next
facility,
meeting,
the
that's
facility
fine.
plan and the validation are two different things.
Right.
Sure, let me look into it. I can tell you, the amount of funds you have in excess right now, you have a construction contingency of $250,000. We were originally going to use, or possibly may have used some of that for the change order work on Lake 92, but we
Right.
didn't. We went and got an additional funds at the February hearing. Which, by the way, I don't know if we mentioned this previously, but the good news on that is I think we approved up to 160,000, if my memory is. It actually only ended up being 106,000, so that was good news. We saved about 50 grand on that job. But I can confirm in the next meeting, but I'm pretty sure you're gonna have another 250 grand to do work up until that May hearing, which is when we could authorize more funds, so.
And I'd like to have that confirmed before we just shoot from the hip and say,
Sure.
we got
Well,
money
I-
to spend, let's spend it.
I'd want a confirmation that the dollar value would be less than 250. In other words, his estimate of the work to be done on that side would be less than 250.
I
It'd be
guess-
crazy doing it partial.
I guess it depends on what you wanna do. Do you wanna do the same thing? Do you wanna do something
Wherever
less?
we have, wherever we're, the two items, the 9-inch escarpment and the 3.7 slope or greater.
But I mean, I think, so, in the past, I know discussions with the previous manager of the golf course was, they wanted to put a bunch of littorals all down the lake. So they weren't necessarily into the whole stone look. I don't know if that's still the case, or,
We're talking about right now, the biggest exposure we have is right there on those 7 lots, or across from those 7 lots, where we have that
The real
narrow
narrow part.
flowway, where that escarpment is about 3 feet. It's very dangerous.
But you'll get back to us.
I
on
can
all
get back.
those
Regardless,
issues.
whatever it is, doesn't need, it needs to come back in an agenda item, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd even be satisfied of doing, at least while we're there, that portion of the golf course side, till we get that done. Because that's a nightmare right in there. That is a
So-
restriction. 75% of the water from Gateway goes through that restriction.
yeah, I mean, he's right, it does. So, just so I'm clear on what you want me to bring back, would you like us to ask the contractor to price doing that and bring that back with funds availability also?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can I ask a question?
yes, ma'am.
Can we also look at riprap, and can we get a letter from Lee County that we have to do it?
What we do next is really up to us. I mean, our feet aren't being held to the fire that we have to do this now. We just need to make it, we'll have additional information at the next meeting to make a decision on when we want to move forward.
Sounds good, I will bring it back.
Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, I have one comment quickly.
You have 2 minutes. I'm trying to end this meeting before 5 o'clock.
I only have one. We had a sewer lateral break over on Fairway Isles Drive. It's just water pouring into the sewer system, so we're paying per 1,000 gallons. We're a little concerned that it might cause a collapse in the street. Big job. If we have to fix it, we're gonna have to close a lane,
Yeah.
restrict access in there. And the lowest bid that we have, which might even go up, is $38,640.
Wow.
Let's get that contract signed before they change their mind.
Well, and I just wanted to ask
What was the
board-
reason for the break?
Well, that, we don't know, it's 11 feet deep, but when we sent a camera down there because a resident had an issue, Kenny sent it the other way, and all you saw looked like somebody's fist and groundwater just pouring into
This is
that.
into a Y connection, which is solid plastic.
Is there a tree around there?
There's just
No.
there's a tree about 10 feet away, but I don't know how a break like that would happen in a pipe unless when they were bedding it, they had big pieces of stone and they put one against it,
Oh,
and
and
over time,
it Pressure and interruption.
30 years.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
And we're paying for it one way or the other, but it shows you, A, the cost of some of these things, and two, the contractor said he can get out there in the next 2 weeks, and I'd like to get the board's permission to move forward, because if the road does start sinking, we don't
It's
want to
gonna be
wait
a
till the
lot
next
more
board meeting.
Make that motion that we immediately give Chris the authority to negotiate with this vendor.
Stricker Brothers.
For the, what is
Stricker Brothers.
Stricker Brothers for the not to exceed of 38,
Oh, make it 40.
make it 40?
And I will put in reference, another contractor who does real good work for us and regularly comes in here, he didn't even want to come and do it, he says, well, I'll do it for 125,000,
Well, our first bid was how much?
156.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
And Madam Chairman, if I may, just from the standpoint of protocol, with regards to any emergency items that come up between now and any board meetings, I believe the manager has the authority, in accordance with the chair, to take care of emergency items and just bring it back for ratification. So if no line break occurs, you know, that's a management chair kind of decision to come back before the
And we
board.
got the quote yesterday,
For
so.
ratification, so I'm comfortable with that process, so.
Okay. Well, I was gonna try and end the meeting before 5 o'clock, because it would be a record. But it's 5:01, so I'm gonna call the meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
5:02, I'll be flattered by you.
I have 5:01.